Welcome back to the Tailosive EV podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Nick and Randy, do you follow Elon on Twitter?
No,
oh
actually,
boy, do I!
I had to follow him twice because it was just so epic.
Oh, and all those cryptocurrency giveaways he does.
Oh, I
so
know.
generous. That's what I thought you meant by following him twice.
That's what I do. Yeah, every single tweet, like there's just all about the cryptocurrency giveaways. It's great.
One of those accounts got verified.
I saw
which
that.
I'm very confused by.
This is more confusing than his new child's name.
It's just Ash. I think it's the short form of that name is Ash, but it is very weird.
Ash.
Maybe if you had 7 kids, you would start to get bored of Jim, Jake,
Constellation 11759. Yeah, that's
Station 230.
That rolls right
I'm just
off the
gonna
tongue.
call him Model X, Model Y.
There you go. Just start naming them after the
car.
Teslas. There you go. I like it.
Well, we have a lot of Elon news, I think, to discuss. We got other stuff to talk about.
I really missed talking about EV with you guys last week. So it's good to be back.
Too.
Thank you, fans.
Who was the
coming
jerk
back.
that didn't let that happen?
Whose fault was that?
It was
Anyway,
Randy? I think so.
Something we didn't get to talk about last week was about the tweeting the stock price is too high, which for those who don't know, Elon has done this many times in the past, actually. It's not that uncommon. Some people thought it was crazy, but Randy, as an investor,
Yes,
how
sir.
did you feel about tweets like that?
Well, I will say, before the tweet, I was like, ooh, and then I even was so stoked. I'm like, this is about to pass my Apple stock, which is my longest invested stock company, and that says a lot because like that stock has grown, and I was like, ooh, this is actually phenomenal. This might be this is a historic moment. Tesla finally surpasses in my books. And then he goes, no, I think the stock's too high. And then everyone's like, you were saying, Randy? Somebody goes, hey, what is it now? However,
It's on sale. That's what it is.
it's on sale. There's nothing wrong with it because this is actually very smart, and he's in a certain lens. He's absolutely correct. You don't want a stock to get inflated like that. It's not safe. It's not healthy. It becomes volatile. And then it has this domino effect that happens. If he course corrects it himself in a very informal way, hey man, do what you got to do, because this is a company that is not trying to get short-term gains and wins and stuff like that. They'll capitalize on it, like when right before everything started going down, they'll make it work.
Right.
But this is a company that's like, no, our vision is future, renewable energy and XYZ and the whole thing. So treating their investments, their stock, the health of the company the same way, in my opinion, and I'm like, third-degree chest here, was the best thing he could have done, because it reminds people. What it ultimately does is it doesn't set Tesla up for failure for the next earning call or future reports, and when they go over stuff like that, I think it's I want a slow, steady burn. This is actually an ethos I think that we treat how we do the podcast and Tailosive as a whole, that it's a slow burn. We don't want spikes like that. It's not healthy. Same thing with the stock and Tesla as a whole. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. And time has told, because obviously we didn't record last week, but now it's higher than it was before the tweet.
That's true.
What do you know?
The long-term impact has proven itself. Like, it'll go down, I'm sure, and it'll go up. But
and when it goes down, you bet your butt I'm going to buy a stock or two if I have it.
Yeah.
If I have the money for
exactly.
it. Yeah.
But that wasn't the only thing he tweeted. He tweeted all kinds of stuff that day. People
amazing.
made him wonder if he
That
was...
day, what day was
Between
that?
the
Wednesday or something? I was working. And
national anthem.
He tweeted
the national anthem.
He deleted some tweets, but I screenshot
Free
him before
America
he did.
Now in all caps.
Yeah.
I wonder how effective that is. Did any politician see that tweet and go, oh, Elon said, guys, we need to open up.
Stop. Elon
he
said
said it.
this.
And now he's on another tweet storm at the time of recording this. There may have been more since the time this gets posted, so we apologize if we're not talking about all of them. But The current state, the governor of California has been acceptable and on board with moving on to stage 2 as of lately and wanting to open up even manufacturing plants. And Tesla, being one of the biggest factories, wanted to open up as soon as Friday. It is now Saturday at the time we're recording this. But the county that Fremont is in is not giving them in the all clear, and Elon's not happy.
Elon Musk is the last person you ever want to piss off. Like, somehow Alameda County did that. Elon is literally the person who's going to be bringing people to the moon and Mars and designing spaceships and SpaceX and sustaining our future. And all of Alameda County just managed to piss off Elon. It was glorious.
Big time.
Oh my gosh.
Well, if you're the type of guy that makes these types of things happen, I mean, it's safe to say majority of the population will never achieve what he has achieved when it comes to humanity and technology and industry. So many billion-dollar companies and, so much growth, and it's going to change our future so much. Someone like that can't be very patient. I feel like it's just an inherent character trait of, if you want to get reusable rockets, or if you want electric cars to be cool and fast, and you want it to be modern and popular and mainstream, and you do what Tesla has achieved, that kind of person can't sit still very long, which is why quarantine must be like worst nightmare for them. Just everything's stopping, everything's at a standstill. They can't keep working, they can't keep moving stuff. So,
which is how he got his kid's name, because he's just so aggravated.
Right. So much happening.
I think this was I know, Drew, you've said this. This was his like public announcement. We're leaving. But I think maybe they've always established Texas, and they were just not saying it out loud. And this was his grandiose. So, given people like, I see the tweets. Elon, shut up, sit down, get off Twitter. Elon, you're stupid, you're dumb. But I think he's actually extremely smart, and he knows exactly what he's doing and why he's doing it. And this is just his theatrical. I mean, be it as it may, politics aside, Trump is very effective at communicating things on Twitter in the sense that if he wants to get something out there, it's coming from the horse's mouth. Elon's doing the same thing. You're going to hear it from me. I'm going to be the one who breaks this damn news. And so I think there's truth behind his aggravation. I think he is genuinely aggravated, but I think there's a little theatricalness going on, the same way stocks are a bit high, in my opinion. I think it's a little bit of show, gets people talking, and he's in the news. He's relevant. I mean, we're talking about it. Hey, and honestly, if he didn't say this, then we would have just talked about the podcast he was on with Joe Rogan, surprisingly.
Right.
So, I mean,
Which was surprisingly much more stable than his tweet storms as of late. So.
I bet there were so many off-camera jokes they made when he came back. And be like, "So Elon, would you like to be smoking on this one or no smoke?" I bet they made all those jokes before they started rolling. But I think there's a method to the madness, because if you've seen in the past the types of crazy things he's tweeted, this really isn't that out of the ordinary. I mean,
Drew, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. There's one thing that I don't know if we ever talked about. He did that because he's looking for a better offer from California. That's exactly
from California to be better, or Texas.
This is what people do. He's doing it, and I just realized that's such a business move. He did that. I'm sorry. This is how fresh the show is, guys. That we purposely put it off doing this episode right now until this time of the day because we want to see if he's going to tweet anything else.
Yeah.
He did that. When I think about the theatrical, he did that because he is communicating to the governor, he's communicating to the state, make me a better offer now. This is him bargaining. He's haggling right now. That's what that was.
Well,
I just realized
it's more so than just bargaining. It's also saying, like, you're not giving us good reason to stay here, and we're looking at all these other places, and we want to do, we're getting great incentives either from Missouri or from Texas or any number of states in the central U.S. And there's
come to us.
Yeah. I mean, for the sake
he's doing what Amazon did.
For the sake of software development and being in the middle of Silicon Valley, I can understand why you would think Tesla, that kind of company, would want to be birthed in California.
Angeles. It's like, I'm still confused.
Well, yeah.
Besides the fact that that's where Elon lives, like, I don't understand why it's ever been in Hawthorne. Because, okay, yeah, sure, there's some industrial area and they got a good deal with the manufacturing space. But, like, at the end of the day, the design studio and the headquarters of Tesla and SpaceX it's kind of in the wrong like city. Like you think of LA, and obviously LA is a huge city, and there's every industry in LA, but it's not really known for the auto manufacturing
LA?
or the
Los Angeles?
yeah, Los Angeles.
No, I mean they're they're the last.
Never heard of it.
They're the last auto manufacturer in California.
Exactly.
Really. I mean,
yeah.
so there's probably decent reason to not stick around there just because they can get property cheaper, they can get less tax or all kinds
Drew
of
will get
benefits.
his car later now because they're leaving.
I don't think they're leaving. He just said they're moving headquarters. So I think the Fremont location will still be active, but he mentioned it's the final straw, which insinuates that there were
lots
previous
of other
straws in the first in the first place. So I think also for the sake if you're delivering vehicles all across the country, it's not that logical to put the factory on the very, very west coast of the entire nation if you're having to ship them to the East Coast, New York, and Florida.
Before, when they had a lot of international shipments going out from the Fremont factory, it made sense to have it in a port city. But now that they have Giga Berlin coming online and Giga Shanghai, and the one in New York, and they've grown to the point where they don't have to have one for the entire world; they can have one for each continent. And I think it makes a lot of sense, for them to move it to Texas or somewhere in the Midwest.
No, Nick, they're not coming to you.
Oh well, oh well.
Did you hear this moment on the Q1 call where they said these new factories they're working on are so much larger that they're thinking of calling them Terra factories?
If the Gigafactory is the largest volume space ever created, and it's only a Gigafactory, and a terabyte is what, 1,000 gigabytes? We're basically just going to be building another planet. Like we're just going to do like Starkiller Base on Earth.
It'll be the Death Star Gigafactory.
That's no moon.
That's no moon.
That's why SpaceX.
But
SpaceX will just be delivering. They'll be making the Cybertruck on the moon because there'll be no taxes on the moon, and then they'll just be drop shipping them with starships. Got it.
Right. And they can...
He's dropping them in space pods the way C-3PO came to Tatooine.
Right. That's how the Cybertruck is delivered.
And it just drives around looking
house
for you.
Yeah.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
I could see it happening. Well, do you think, not knowing how this relaunch is going to happen, Q1 was profitable? I mean, did that surprise either of you, or were you expecting that?
I was expecting it.
Yeah, I
Really?
was
Even though
expecting
they never
only
had
because the COVID stuff wasn't really represented in Q1. I believe there's only 1 week in Q1.
Even before COVID, they never had a profitable Q1 before.
I think
still not surprised?
they're mature enough now.
They were back to back.
But before COVID, it was expected that they're going to be mostly profitable. Probably 2 or 3 quarters out of the year would be profitable before COVID, and now who knows? But
how
I agree.
do you think Q2 is going to be the major hit now?
It won't be a huge.
No.
It won't be as bad as GM or Ford or any of the other big ones because Tesla's been very smart about it. But it will definitely be a loss. They're having a smaller amount of shipments, so they're not having as many vehicles shipped, but they're also not.
Demand is also lower now.
They're not. Their demand and the supply are both down, which is fine for the income statement because the balance sheet's fine. But at the end of the day, Ford and GM, they have their dealers in the middle. So every time Tesla sells a car or makes a delivery, it's Tesla Incorporated selling an individual vehicle. And so that removes the whole inventory pipeline that these auto manufacturers have, 4, possibly 6 months worth of inventory sitting on lots across the U.S. depreciating and getting hailed on and all that fun stuff. And I hate the dealership model. Did I make that clear?
Yeah. Okay. We got that
I think
part.
you did.
I think Q2 is going to be pretty bad, especially if, Elon can tweet all he wants, but if they're not allowed to open until June, which is what the county's wanting to do right now. I mean, they might not wait that long, but still, that would be a massive holdup if they literally have to wait till then, because now they will have all of April and May without any vehicles being produced. So
I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Okay.
I'm going to say it's not going to be that bad because
what's not that bad, though?
Like I think I can see them still staying the course because clientele is not the person who lives paycheck to paycheck. And
will they lose though? Will they will be profitable in Q2, or you think they're going to lose money?
I think what's hurting them is the fact that like Roadster's delay, Cybertruck. I still think Cybertruck's going to be delayed now. I think that's what's hurting them. Production, not the transaction of finance currency to things that were pre-ordered or stuff that's ready. Like, hey, we got Model S's, X's, 3s, Ys are the ones that's like delayed, but all that stuff was like the Ys specifically pre-ordered. Okay, so that part's delayed, but they already the money part's done. When we talk about profits, I think that part is already established. And anybody who wants to buy something during this time, I don't see Tesla as the person who's looking to get the $11,000 neon Verta, whatever. Like your clientele is a little bit different. They market themselves as that premium that's trying to go, for the masses, but they're not there yet. And I don't think people who are buying this year are the people who can afford a brand new car. If it's on their budget, it's not on their budget. That's why there still has all these incentives and stuff like that. I don't think it's going to affect them in the sense of financial transactions. And then you have supercharging networks that people like myself have to pay for. Things are still moving with finances right now. It's production line that's been affected. It's these pre-orders and trying to get out the Roadster and stuff like that. And why those things are the stuff that's affected, but those are things that are so far down the road anyway that it just kind of moved it forward that much more. I think I believe semi might have been affected as well. But like again, those are such specific things that has nothing to do with the vehicle you would pick up today, with the exception of the Y. I will give it that. But 3, S, X, you could still take care of what you needed to take care of, and they still have their inventory, used inventory. There's movement still happening. Will they sell as much as anticipated? No, I don't think it's gonna. I think they're still gonna be profitable in Q2.
Wow.
And again,
okay.
Caveat: I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm probably more. I'm more in the middle, but I do think that it's not going to be as dire, even remotely. I wouldn't be, let me say this. I wouldn't be shocked if they did say, hey, we met our mark. We didn't beat expectations. We didn't drop expectations. We met our mark. Oh, okay, cool.
I think if their main factory isn't open for 2 months out of the 3, that's going to, because deliveries are probably biggest form of revenue. The amount of cars they are delivered directly impacts the amount of revenue they generate within a single quarter. I don't think the semis or the Roadster, all those kind of reservations, they don't count that in their budget, so that's not impacted by the delays or anything. I'm talking about just April to June, end of June. I think that has potential to be like their last quarterly loss. But then afterwards, as things reopen, and Giga Shanghai has been ramping, that's kind of their secret weapon right now. I think Giga Shanghai is going to keep them afloat because they're ramping really quickly. They're already working on the Model Y plant, and Giga Berlin is also ramping. So, I mean, once they start reopening Fremont, and now it sounds like they want to probably announce the Texas location very quickly. I mean, it could be announced by the time this podcast goes up at this point. Elon's still on his phone. So
that's our
get off your phone, Elon.
Knowing
screen time, just do it.
Yeah, I have a theory that I actually don't think the Cybertruck might be delayed because of how things are on schedule to reopen. They were hoping to start reopening things yesterday, but it's all being held up with the county, which means that worst case scenario, it's June, which is, compared to what we thought it was going to be before, that's pretty early. But here's what made me rethink the Cybertruck delay is that the reason there's certain things that get delayed, like the Semi or the Roadsters, because they're working on stuff and they decide they want to wait on new battery tech, or they want to wait on, these are low volume vehicles and they're kind of first of their kind in a lot of ways. So they don't like the first tri-motor setup, and they're like, you know what, actually let's do plaid mode on the Model S first, and then later we'll try it on the Roadster. But the reason the Model Y was way ahead of schedule, partly because, yes, it had a lot of part similarities with the Model 3, but I also think it was because they knew it would be a huge seller and a huge moneymaker. There was a ton of demand for it. So they realized, hey, even though the Model Y was announced way after the Semi and the Roadster, there's huge market potential for this. There's so much like of a market for the crossover SUV segment. So as soon as we get this out, the sooner we get to ramp and the quicker we increase our revenue. Once they saw the tremendous demand of the Cybertruck, I think they're taking that as, well, hey, this is like a giant cash cow. I mean, even if 30% of the reservations are finalized sales and 70% of people back out or don't get the Cybertruck, that's still an insane amount of demand they have. And that means the sooner they get those produced and the sooner they start delivering those, the sooner they get to collect the revenue on it. So I think after the podcast where he said Cybertruck is going to come out first, I think that means because of the demand and because of how the internet responded to it, that has now shifted above other vehicle priorities. And they're going to, like right now, my guess, Cybertruck is center stage. That's their main priority after Model Y. And I think the Semi is like, we'll keep trying. But the main bottleneck with Semi is, battery production, and the Roadster, we're working on air cannons, and this is a low volume car anyway, so we don't need to put a big priority on it. But what do you think?
So I pulled up, I don't know if you remember that little spreadsheet that I put together of the Tesla
I do.
Cybertruck thing. And so I'm looking at it right now. And I had budgeted a year and 2 months for them to get a Gigafactory online for Cybertruck. Mm-hmm. And I think that
after announcing it?
After announcing the location, a year and 2 months to get it turning out the first pre-production models. I think that is still on the short side of how quickly things can move in the U.S. Given China is very centralized, they can make a lot of decisions very quickly, especially if, Elon, they did it in under a year. Unheard of. Massive factory in under a year from planning to first cars rolling off the line. I don't think that'll happen in the U.S. So I'm thinking a year and 2 months is very fastest that they could get that done. We're going to be in June before any ground gets broken, right? Like, even if tomorrow Elon gets out there and says, okay, it's officially in Texas, here's the location. Also, with these new tweets of Tesla moving all HQs somewhere else, maybe, it's going to be a big factory. I don't think it's just going to be a little Cybertruck factory anymore. Like, it's not going to be Giga Shanghai size. It's going to be Gigafactory Nevada size. Like, it's going to be
I think it'll be phases, just like before.
You're right.
Like Shanghai.
It'll probably build on itself, but the end goal is like a whole campus, like probably a Tesla campus sized, like multiple factory buildings producing multiple cars with design studios and stuff. So I think if they want to, they could probably still do it. They'd have to kind of shrink down the pre-production and the production ramps and try to get those as tight as possible. To still hit that November 2021, December 2021 deliveries for the first, but they can
without a paint job.
Without a paint job,
you can accelerate a lot of that process. If you're like, "How's the paint holding up?" What paint? That's it. It's done. I feel like the factory line could be a lot simpler to produce. If that's, I feel like a lot of the logic with that Cybertruck design. So, if things are worst case scenario reopening on June, I feel like Cybertruck still has a shot, knowing how main focus they will get on a vehicle once they know there's huge demand for it, like the Model Y. Seeing how much crazy demand that Cybertruck broke the internet like nothing else. I've never seen it before. I mean, if it could get an idiot like me to get 1 million views on YouTube, something's happened. Something changed here. Yeah. So that I think has their attention now. So that's why I think end of next year.
And I will say,
it's still possible.
Now that we're in June, we're in May right now, but looking at June being the first feasible month that this could happen, I'm going to move this from Nick thinks this is possible to Nick thinks this is very much Elon time. I think it's trending towards Elon time as far as this timeline is concerned. It can happen. Elon did it with the Model Y, and he can do it. Out of anyone on this planet, it's Elon who can do it. But it's getting a little bit more crazed and unlikely, I guess, in my mind. Randy, you have some thoughts. I can see you stewing over there.
Never
mind. He doesn't have any thoughts. Drew, next topic.
Well, I don't know how I want to approach it.
He has Elon brain now.
I have
Just
Elon
start your
brain.
sentence
I don't know
next
how I
time.
want to approach it. You know what I will say? No, I was going to go down a tangent. I'm not going to do that. Instead, at least we know nothing's been postponed, delayed, on hold, hiatus, canceled, unlike Rivian. And that makes me feel good.
I mean,
Shots
Semi
fired.
and Roadster have been pretty heavily delayed at this point.
They've never. It's not just officially. Well, one, that was so far down the road. You guys had these high hopes of coming so soon, and I never thought the truck was coming soon, and I've never anticipated the Roadster. I don't honestly. I have no thoughts about the Roadster. I'm that's not my cup of tea. I'm indifferent about the Roadster.
That's dessert.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
That's dessert. Yeah, it's dessert. I think it's cool. I think it's great, but I have no invested interest. It doesn't do anything for the health of the company. It's just a toy. Have at it. The Roadster to me is like a very expensive toy, like the ATV would be. Have at it. Have fun with it, but it doesn't drive the company by any means. The truck will.
Roadster is more marketing than direct sales revenue.
Roadster's flexing.
Yeah.
that's them just trying to, lay it on the table. It's a measuring contest at this point. They don't yeah. They're like, hey, this is how great we are. So I will say that but the truck will be, as I've always anticipated, delayed, late, and I don't think it's affecting it. I think the only thing that's affected with breaking ground of wherever this factory was going to be is the groundwork of it. I look at me. I'm even talking like Elon, where he gets quiet in between and he thinks. I watched one episode, so I'm like, oh, yeah. Quite frankly, it's pretty obvious. I think that the truck ultimately will still meet the timeline that I set for it, even given the delays and stuff like that. I never felt like it was coming for. Drew, you brought up a point. Here's the part I was stewing on. The demand of the truck has prioritized the truck to come first.
Yep.
In many aspects, and I agree with that, and I'm excited for that, and I'm happy for that. But there is many. They're not done. Just like we were talking the last time we did this episode, how they adjusted the size a little bit. That's going to look more like this. The final version is not done, and they're not even done with how it's gonna meet like the whole no side mirrors and all that. Things about it are just incomplete. Granted, it's a very simple sharp edges, clean it, assembly line, push out, cool, but it's not done. And
They got time.
I think once they have they do have time. And to my point, once they establish the factory, they're gonna crank those suckers out pretty quick, I believe. Once they finalize, like, okay, this is exactly what's gonna be. It's gonna be so quick because the whole point was efficiency of making this vehicle,
right?
Making this truck. So I think in that part, nothing's delayed because it's the whole point was how can we make this as efficient and quick as possible and making it a utility vehicle. Just building the factory is going to be the hard part or the long part of the whole thing. It's not even the hard part. Just it's going to take time to get it right, to get it there where they need it to be. I don't see them meeting schedule. I never saw them meeting schedule in that sense. I don't see them beating schedule. I see the assembly happening very quickly once everything's established. But it's no Rivian.
Tesla built the Giga Shanghai in record time. Do you think they're going to take a lot of, like, I'm sure there were things they did differently that they would want to do differently from what they did with Giga Shanghai. There's probably another 10% of efficiencies that they missed out on building Giga Shanghai. Do you think that might contribute? They'll take that knowledge and help accelerate Cybertruck factory production a little bit more than even Giga Shanghai. I know there's regulations and stuff. They're gonna have to have a bunch of fire inspectors and
a good example. Mm-hmm. A good example to consider is Giga Berlin right now. I mean, if you compare the timelines of when Giga Berlin was announced to where Giga Shanghai was announced, and you watch what's happening step by step, they're still neck and neck. Giga Berlin's on the same schedule Giga Shanghai has, even though that's in Germany, which a lot of people, before they announced Giga Berlin, they were like, but that's Germany. That's not going to be as fast as China. But they're keeping up. I mean, it may not be as fast at the end of the day, but as of right now, in the stage of the process, this is about where Giga Shanghai was. So I think, I've said from the beginning, I think the whole reason the Cybertruck is as drastic and as weird as it is because they've mass-produced the Model 3. They were like, okay, so now we know how to make hundreds of thousands of vehicles. How do we want to design our cars now, moving forward? And that's when you get the weird, wacky, low polygon look, because it's like they have experience now that they've learned from that. So given they were able to put up a Model 3 factory within a year, I think they've designed their next vehicle accordingly. And that's why I think, given their learning and their growing with their efficiencies, and the Giga Berlin is like all built around Model Y production. So they are familiar with it, and they know some efficiency there as well. But it's kind of like Giga Shanghai was meant for 3. Giga Berlin meant for Y. Giga Texas, that's going to be meant for Cybertruck. Like, they all are designed accordingly and built accordingly. So, yeah, that's why I think those efficiencies are going to apply. And once they announce it, I mean, people forget. Giga Berlin was not announced that long ago. And they're already laying down roads, and they've gotten the trees
Everything
out.
feels so long ago now.
True.
I'm trying to remember when they announced. I'll look it up real quick.
I know. I genuinely don't have any concept of time. I don't even know if they're delayed.
These shows are the only thing that keep my weeks sane.
That's so sad.
It was fast though. I can tell you that.
As Drew's looking it up, my thoughts on Giga Berlin is that I think actually anything outside of the U.S. I know there's certain regulations and all this that has to do with assembly. To answer your question, Nick, I think they will take what they've learned with Shanghai and bring it here.
Well, obviously.
However, I think
This is Tesla.
I think what would be the roadblock is our over need of regulation when it comes to constructions and meeting these permits and things that don't exist outside of the United States is something that I hope they know how to circumvent, work around. People way smarter than all of us that have the ability to not bypass but just expedite that process.
I
think
guarantee you there's a team of architects right now, regardless of what state it's going to be in. They probably already have something in mind. But I guarantee you there's a team
November
of architects
12th.
working right now. I'm sorry, what?
By the way, it was November 12th. Elon tweeted Giga Berlin.
Wow.
So very quick turnaround to like, hey, we're ready. We're ready to
yeah,
start
but
building.
November 12th was 7 months ago. Oh my god! Oh my god!
And they're
no.
they're like a couple of weeks away now from like breaking ground officially.
Wow. November 12th. Drew, you got married. I'm just thinking like 7 months ago was your 1 year anniversary, and it feels like that just happened.
You okay, Randy?
Okay, Boomer. So much time.
I've lost track of time.
Don't you have an Apple Watch?
Life is,
Guys, I'm 30. Ugh.
and in that amount of time, Cybertruck will be out.
30 years? Yeah, that sounds about right.
Maybe this whole 30 years. Do you think I want you to finish your thought about the architects, Nick. Do you think that they are ready to hit the ground running like right now, regardless of where they announce it? Is that where you're getting at?
I have a feeling that there's a team of architects that have a very good idea of detailed designs of the factory. I'm talking columns, water placements, conduits. They have a very good idea. They might not know exactly where it's going, but I guarantee you they have a very good idea of the final design and what it's going to look like. Yeah, I think as soon as the announcement's made, it'll be mostly on getting the permits and everything in order to start breaking ground. Because I think in Germany,
I'm all for it.
Elon, you kind of sound like Elon was designing it kind of over the past few months. Because a few months ago, he tweeted something about like party or club in the basement of Giga Berlin or whatever. I don't remember what exactly that was, but it was some kind of like bar or something he was going to stick in the basement. Do you remember that, Drew? Am I going crazy?
I think you're remembering it wrong. I think it had more to do with I think it had more to do with they were going to redesign the paint as a process of Tesla vehicles on Giga Berlin.
No,
so they're like,
there's something in the basement. There's some kind of like it kind of felt like he was designing it, and they had like this free room, and he was like, "Well, what are we gonna do with this space?" And he was like, "Want to throw a party or something? Party space or something?"
Let's put
Anyway.
I don't know what tweet you're referring to, but
Well, it might be the Nelson
point-
Mandela effect. So I don't know.
your point holds up that the factory is not being built. I mean, they're preparing for it, but it's not like in the construction process right now. But they already know what kind of paint shops they're moving on. So that supports your argument that the architects and the assembly lines, like they know what parts they're working with. And I assume as the prototype of Cybertruck is getting finalized and they're seeing how much press there is around it, they're like, holy crap, we've struck a gold mine here. And if we start delivering these things, demand's gonna, they've never had a vehicle with this much demand ever. So I think that's why it's taken center stage. So I'm sure they have people working on, the actual arms that have to produce the exoskeleton and how they get the steel in those shapes and the armored glass. They're getting all that.
Furthermore, the vehicle is high demand because it's affordable.
Yeah.
Unlike S or X, like this is
They go hand in
this
hand.
is a thing where, this is. I believe I don't want to play devil's advocate anymore. I just want to just brass tacks this.
Okay.
I think the expedited process of getting the truck out is because it's an affordable truck and it's right up there with every other truck in its price range, and it has more to offer for it. And people, I think the chatter, the news of look how it looks gross, and I think it's all over. The people who were sold and getting it now are getting it, and the people like my wife have convinced people otherwise who said, yeah, but now okay, you're a grease monkey. Look at the specs. Then here's why this is better, and she's convinced people. I think the initial shock is now gone. We now have people who are like, okay, yeah, no, I'm ready to try this out, even if it's just out of pure curiosity, and they're going to only use the 7-day return window. Like, it's not for me, I'm going to return it. Mm-hmm. There is a need, and I think people will get it. I think up to the point, not pre-order and then cancel. I think they will pick up the vehicle on delivery, and if they are not completely sold by it within that first week, then they'll return it. Fine, but that still means it has to go through the assembly line, and therefore the pre-orders do meet the assembly line need of the production. Mm-hmm. So I think it's gonna happen rapid fire because the demand is so high over any other vehicle that they put out to date. Because it's no longer, we made this cool truck, it's gonna cost you $900,000. Those days are gone. Those days are over. Now the only reason they can move Model S's is because Plaid, and it's like the only way they can justify costs like that. It's like, all right, well, here's what we put in it. But those days of new vehicles, new EVs, at least within Tesla, of being so high up, they're gone. 40 is the new standard. 45, whatever the medium is between Y3 and Cybertruck, mm-hmm. whatever the medium of those entry, that's the new. I think it's like 40, right? Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's the new standard, and people are like, okay, yeah. That's going out there buying a new car anyway, mm-hmm. and that meets the demographic of everybody who's in the market of buying a new vehicle, not used, not premium, not luxury, not beater. Just, hey, I'm in the market buying a new car. You're getting somewhere between $30,000 to $40,000 anyway is expected. So I think this is going to be a very successful launch in many regards, for sure.
It'll be fascinating. It won't be
I can't wait.
Won't be like any other car launch we've had before. Yeah. It's going to be crazy when people start getting theirs.
That's how we'll know it's
and then you'll see them on the road, and you'll be like, "Look at it! We're in martial law. These military grade vehicles just driving."
I love it.
It will be crazy.
Texas still has a bunch of dealership laws, right? Along with a lot of other states, I believe, including California. Do you think that Tesla's going to use this, because they have a lot of leverage right now? Like, they have mm-hmm. offers from 3 or 4 different states and counties or whatever, mm-hmm. And so they have like unlimited leverage. I would be curious to see if Tesla would use that leverage to not only get themselves a good tax break and good property deal for the factory, because they're bringing in lots of jobs, but also try to amend some of these dealership laws in whatever state they're going to land in. If they land in Texas, I could definitely see them, being like, hey, Greg Abbott, we're gonna bring in 100,000 jobs over the next 20 years or whatever. Mm-hmm. Help us get this legislation passed to amend
Right.
the dealership laws.
Right. Yeah. They have an
That was more of a
insane
statement than a
leverage.
question. Sorry, guys.
You're right, though. I agree with you. They've got
I agree with the statement.
tremendous leverage to kind of position themselves any way they want. I mean, states are going to have to be pretty blind to be like, no, that's not a good idea. We need to keep all these dealership laws in place.
Tesla's never gonna make it. They're
Yeah.
a dying niche.
The
Like
dying
those days are over
startup.
too.
Yeah, you can't really argue
Yeah,
that
a
anymore.
dying startup.
With the
A dying
with the
startup.
growth they have right now and how much demand there is for these vehicles, it's crazy to deny
sure.
that. Yeah, I wonder how much jobs the Cybertruck assembly line will actually need, though, or how much of it can
Zero.
be done automated. It's just a robot assembly line. Do you think we're going to get Battery Investor Day this month, or do you
No.
think that's been postponed?
No.
You didn't buy the third week of May.
Elon
at the
says
Q1
stuff.
call. Well, they better announce it quick.
Yeah, I wish
But-
I wish they would. I mean, I could use some good news, and for you Apple fans, like I'm waiting for Dub Dub and June 22nd. So like I'd love to have Battery Investor Day halfway between now and Dub Dub, but I don't think that's
That'd be a
happening.
great-
It'll be the equivalent of a site refresh.
Yeah.
That's what the equivalency will be.
Yeah,
I just think a lot of people are positioning it or hyping it up to be, oh, Tesla prices are going to drastically decrease after Investor Day, or the range is going to drastically increase. I don't think it's going to be about that. I think it's mostly going to be about mass production, how they're going to build enough batteries. And that's less exciting because it's just part of what we expect, but it's something that matters.
Yeah.
That's going to position them in a much better place than every other EV maker. But like Rivian, as Randy kept bringing up, I feel so bad for Rivian
Poor
right
Rivian.
now. They were
Poor
just
Randy.
getting started. They were just getting started. But
Do you think
They're gonna-
Tesla's ever going to have any competition? Because like previously Rivian was the big competition, but they're not.
I don't
looking
even know
so
if they
good.
I mean, Ford backed out of their
Yeah, no Mach-E.
partnership with Rivian on
No
the
Rivian.
Mach-E's still happening, but it's
Whoa.
delayed. I mean,
Yeah, for the next 3 or
Rivian
4
was-
years.
Rivian was going to partner with them to make an electric Lincoln vehicle, and they backed out of that. They shelved that project. So, trying to imagine how someone else can keep up on the autopilot, the battery prices. Yeah, I genuinely don't understand how someone could surpass them at this point. I really don't.
Somebody like Ford or equivalent throws a lot of money at one of their top designers, engineers at Tesla, poach them and do what they do in Silicon Valley, and then have them bring those ideas and those skill sets with them to that company. I think it's a matter of time. There will be a leaps and bounds head start with Tesla, but the market, the beauty of the free market, at least here, things always bounces out. It has a way of correcting itself and bringing competition, which I think I'm always for competition. We as the consumers always win when there's competition. It's never a bad thing, and I like that. It's cool to have bragging rights. Yeah, well, I got one of the first EV, but sure, but it's a matter of time before somebody has the right logistics within the company, and then pair it with the right money. Because I can only imagine Tesla is paying these guys so much to keep them there, and like, hey, whatever it takes, stay here with us for as long as possible. But it's only a matter of time before you have to bring in new blood for people, and then it's going to transition out. It's going to happen. The Ford will eventually get their truck out, or their Mach-E, all these other things, and GM, everybody else. It will happen. But I mean, Tesla is going to that is the blueprint now. Everybody will copy the way they copied iPhone. Everything post iPhone. That's their bragging right. Like, you copied us now, which is fine, but it's going to be a really, really, really long time before we see anything that's worthwhile. And I'm not talking about the Leaf that gets you 5 miles before you got to charge it again. I'm talking a genuine ecosystem with networks of charging stations and a lineup that's affordable, full self-drive. And full self-driving, granted, is a perk, a gimmick, an add-on, not a necessity, but that's their vision. We want to do everything towards full self-driving the same way Apple wants to do everything towards portless and AR. Like, that's just the vision. Some other company might not have full self-driving as an objective, but having the network and having the battery and having the the efficiencies of a factory like that's a universal trait that's desirable against for all other manufacturers for these cars, because now it showed how weak they really are and how flawed it is and how much Nick doesn't like the dealership model for this exact. It's an old, dated, antiquated system that just needed to be corrected, and then enter with the free market Tesla correcting it. Now everybody realized, oh wow, yeah, we've been living in 1919 under Henry Ford model. We got to fix this. We got to fix it now, but it'll be a long time.
I don't know, because I mean they're not even in a great financial position right now. It's not
Ford?
like they can
I think they pay you to buy their stock at this point.
Pretty much at this point. It's getting into the negatives.
Have you seen the dividends? Yeah, you're right.
Even with their they're not throwing everything at EVs right now. They're not throwing everything into electric and autonomy, and they're still losing billions of dollars a quarter. So it's not like
Billions.
It's not something they're going to be able to just quickly turn around. It's going to be something that 10 years from now maybe they're going to realize what they should have done and they start making those investments. But Tesla's not going to be standing still during all that time. During the time that other companies are trying to catch up, they're going to be installing more gigafactories and
opening
ramping up production
and
further.
Gigamoon and
right, like all the time it's going to take for the dated automakers to try to realize what they should have focused on is just even more growth time. While Ford is going to be trying to master full self-driving, Tesla's going to be figuring out how to make full self-driving half as much as it currently sits. So by the time Ford figures it out, it's going to be twice the price of Tesla. So that's why I don't even see that. I honestly think tech giants have a better chance at catching Tesla than other automakers do at this point, because they have less legacy traditional methods and backwards thinking of, well, this is how cars were in the past, and GM's all talking about, well, we need to just make electric vehicles the same as gas cars because you like gas cars, right? Don't change them. But I would say Apple and Google and Samsung have a better chance at competing with Tesla than Ford.
Do you think they will? Do you think they're going to enter the market?
Maybe. I think they might. Google's doing their Waymo stuff, so I mean they might turn that into something. It might not be the traditional like we sell the vehicle. It might be more of like we compete with the ride sharing service. But like they at least have a more forward thinking like technological business model mindset of understanding revenue and masses. But I just mean they have the capital for it. The other automakers just don't understand how to spend, and I don't think they're beatable, honestly. I think they're going to be one of the largest companies on earth, and they're going to be bigger than everybody by the time we're dead.
I would say you're probably on the right track there, but Tesla is different than these automakers because they don't finance their own loans. I don't know if you've ever bought a new car. I mean, I know neither of you have, but from Ford or GM. But when you
just anyone,
yeah, I know. No one here listening has ever bought a new car because those suck. But you actually get a loan from GM Financial or Ford Financial. And these are kind of separate companies that are branded the same way. Obviously, they're sister companies, and they carry all the debt for the car payments. So, obviously, you can do private loans if you want to, but kind of the default option for these big car makers is an in-house loan, which allows them to act as their own bank, which used to be a really big positive for the companies, right? They used to be able to collect both the interest and the actual profit from selling the car. And right now, with all of the uncertainty and stuff, those quote unquote banks are really on the chopping block to be hurting, because, you know, people can't feed themselves. They're not going to be, you know, spending $200 a month on their car payment. They're going to go belly up on those. And so Tesla is just in another position right now where they don't have any of that risk involved. They've always done external financing for their vehicles, so they don't hold any of the debt. They're just they got their lump sum payment at the beginning, and they're done. Very smart.
They're thinking
I
forward.
will say just a random thought, just because I remember buying my Volkswagen, and then they had Volkswagen credit and the whole thing. Rule of thumb, don't ever, this is just anybody listening to the show, so I'm talking to you.
You're talking to me. I know.
Don't
I
ever-
can see.
Don't ever buy, or don't ever go to a dealership, even if you're not buying an EV. Just don't, when you're going to go get a car, if it's at a dealership, don't ever tell anybody until the last minute how you plan on paying for it. You have a right to say, nah, we're not there yet. We're not going to talk about it. Just don't do it, because they make, these companies, especially not Tesla, everyone else, these companies make their money. Cash is no longer king. They don't. I'm paying cash. Who wants this hard cash? What's better than cash? A damn loan from you where you pay interest. They make their money off of the interest, and then hey, we have this additional extended warranty, blah 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 blah, and they lump it in the loan, and they try to squeeze every dime out of you. That adds up over time. And the worst thing you can do is shoot yourself in the foot when you're buying a vehicle. Just coming out guns blazing. Hey, I'm paying all cash. Give me the best. You are guaranteed to get yourself the worst vehicle, because they know they can't squeeze anything out of you. Just keep all your cards. Don't show them anything. Keep it all to your chest, and don't ever tell anybody.
To a dealer ever. Got it.
Well,
That'd be the better move.
never. God, I can't. It was so refreshing to just go to Tesla. AC was on. Everyone's nice. Hey, can I get you a cup of water? But they're not like, oh, what car are you looking at again? They're just like, let us know if you need anything. They left you alone, and you could just do it all right there. You go home. That is the model I will always go to now. I will never go to a dealership and buy from those sleazy snakes ever again, because it was so refreshing, and you want the other manufacturers to fix themselves. Start with how you sell a vehicle, and everything will at least give you better PR, because Tesla doesn't come off as sleazy, sneaky, trying to nickel and dime you. Polar opposite. Transparency. So there's so much transparency that the whole point I was ever transparent about my acquisition of a Model 3 was because I wanted to show the same etiquette that they showed me. That's like, wow, this is so polar opposite, and it goes against the grain, and I'm all for it. They're a trusted company, and that's why they'll always, to what you were saying, Drew, like they'll be around forever, just because there's faith in them, and there's trust, and they have just good PR. Even if
brand matters, especially in China,
brand 100% matters,
and in Europe.
Yeah.
So as they position themselves to have not just cars, but also factories and employees and design studios in other countries. China is a bigger market than the U.S., and if you can position yourself for success there, which they have, even if your cars flop in America, it won't matter, because you'll be making bank in China, because manufacturing costs are so much cheaper there. So yeah, that's what I mean by like the companies with the best position to compete with Tesla have to buy things from them. They would have to buy batteries from them. They would have to buy supercharging access. They would have to buy all kinds of stuff that it's just not feasible for someone to build up an infrastructure like the supercharging and stuff like that. So yeah, that's why I say they're 5 steps ahead of everybody.
Just 5? Wow. That's putting it mildly.
Or 10. Depends on the category. I mean, you got the solar installations too. So I mean, there's whole kinds of things. Did you guys, before we forget, I just wanted to bring up, did you guys notice the Tesla landing page has finally changed to accommodate for the Model Y? I was so happy to see that, because it was bothering me for so long that it was always just 3 and then the S and the X, and now I'm like, oh sweet, we got all 4, the whole lineup now on the front page. It still defaults to the 3.
That's one sexy lineup.
It is, but it's not spelt in the sexy configuration, which annoys me.
It's spelled
6.3. They did SX3Y, which, I don't know. It's kind of a low quality image too, but still, I wonder if like eventually if the Model Y ramp goes according to schedule, which it sounds like it's going great, they'll be able to maybe default to the Model Y instead of the 3 at a later time. Like, did you guys know that in the first quarter of Model Y production, they produced more Model Ys than they did the Model 3 in the first 2 quarters?
Wow.
So they're really quickly.
Did not know that.
Yeah, that's what they talked about on the Q1 call. It's like it's going up fast, and it probably would be even faster if it weren't for the shutdowns. But yeah, like the potential market for the Model Y is much huger, and they minimize so much of the back design, like parts on the Model 3 that require 70 pieces now require like 2. And that simplified manufacturing just makes me go, when are you bringing that to the 3? You know, when can we get that on even cheaper car? Like, it makes me wonder if I don't know, will Model 3 see price drops? Yeah, I mean, a more official 35, not so much a off menu 35.
Well, a promoted 35. Because
they
might be selling it, sure, but they're not making a lot of money on it. They don't want you to buy it. It's obvious.
They clearly don't want people getting the 35, but it exists.
When you log on to the Tesla webpage, I'm waiting for the day where it says Model 3 starting at $35,000. Like, when they're proud about that $35,000 starting price, when they feel comfortable they can make a profit on it, that's when I'll know they've made that mark.
That would get me to go with a 3 over a Y, probably.
That's why they're not bringing it to the 3, Drew, because they want you to get the Y.
But
for now, it'll come someday.
Where do they position the standard range Y, though?
Say again?
They can't make standard range Y the same price as advertised, because they advertised it at $39K, but Model 3 on the website starts at $40 with standard range plus.
They will get you. You would not get the 35,000 Model 3 though.
If like we said, they minimized the design and they made the parts cheaper and they simplified it and they brought it like standard range plus.
No, I mean the one today, the one you can buy today. You wouldn't get that one today.
I don't know, it depends on my financial situation, but I mean, I might. I just mean like the only way it's cheaper than the standard range plus Model 3 is that it doesn't come with Autopilot, but you can get that for $3,000, which takes it up to 38, which just means it's $2,000 cheaper than standard range plus, but you miss out on 20 miles of range, and I think like the heated seats or something like that in the back. It's something minor like that. But yeah, I would go for that.
Good thing you're never going back there.
Yeah, I'm not going to be in the back seat unless full self-driving comes out. Maybe I'll hang out back there. But I mean, like, I'm so confused with how they're going to position the standard range Y, because they can't deliver the price they advertise. Otherwise, it's cheaper than the Model 3, which would be ridiculous. What probably is going to make the most amount of sense is they're going to introduce. They did it for the Model 3 temporarily, so maybe they'll do it temporarily for the Y. But they did like a mid-range Model 3 for a little while, and then of course standard range plus, not standard range, so that they can charge a little bit more. So that would mean standard range plus Model Y would be more like $45,000, or mid range would be, because I mean right now cheapest Model Y is $53,000, so they can go a lot cheaper and still be more than a 3.
If I went that route, if I did the cheapest Model Y, I would have never gotten a wrap. I would have allotted my $65K differently for sure. I gave myself the headspace and the wiggle room to customize and do the bells and whistles that I wanted. But because this goes back to somebody asking me a while back, would you have, if it was a year later today, because next month is my 1-year anniversary with the car, and they asked me, and so they've asked me, I get it all the time too, not even outside of the community, like in life, in real life and stuff at work, and people are like, how would you have done the Model Y? Completely different. I think I would not have cared so much about exterior. Ooh, make mine look so bells and whistles. I would have done the full self-driving. That was always going to be a thing. But I think allotting the budget that I saved for it would have been, I probably would have, I don't think I would have got the best Model Y. And that's just because within the budget of where I wanted to get, I think I was always destined to get the Model 3 because I wanted the best small, non-sport, a sedan vehicle that I can just max out and stay within a certain price range. And to date, Model 3 has been the most bang for buck for my, 5'6" size. I'm a short person, so I didn't need all that space. Poor Nick, every time, just wow, this place is so cool. Like,
I'm so glad there's a glass
you guys,
ceiling.
and I know,
Sorry.
I
So
know
glad
you
there's a
guys
glass
need the
ceiling.
Model Y. You need the truck. You need the Y. You guys
I don't
need it.
need
Like,
it.
I'm
I
glad
we
you
need
just-
to do
I
our
would prefer
segment. What we need to get a cool intro jingle. We should talk to an audio producer about this. But what Tesla vehicle are we thinking of this week, Drew? Go ahead.
Mine hasn't changed much. It's pretty much still like I want a standard range Y, but if it's over 44 grand, then I'd rather go with a 3 at that point.
Yeah,
So that's where I sit.
I'm still not convinced I need one, which is sad.
I don't think I need one
I'm,
either. That's just for fun.
the needs are going to change even for me because I'm going to pay off the Tesla. The Tesla's going to be paid off next month.
Hey, congratulations!
Nice. Good job,
That's
Randy.
wonderful.
Bravo.
Nice. Paid off car.
I met my objective of what I was doing. This has been, I don't know, 5 years. I don't know how long it's been.
No one can take it
Planned,
away from you now.
Nope, it's mine. It's mine. With the $6,000 full self driving. The resale value. So I only say it because with it being paid off, my needs might change. Like I was like, I kind of want the Cybertruck delayed because I don't want us getting it. But now we put it in perspective. Like, well, the car's about to be paid off, and that's 2 cars. My wife has her peasant gas car paid off, and now I'm gonna have the premium superior car paid off, and now that's money that we're saving towards other things. We have a budget we're saving towards buying a home and the whole thing, solar panels or the wall connector thing. All this stuff has been allotted about how I kind of want to future proof the house.
Yeah.
But now the conversation comes, well, do we get rid of the gas car and consider a Y as the next thing, or are we just sticking with the truck? How do we want to approach this going forward? And I might participate in the car of the week with you, Nick, about what I might want to do. But it will happen after next month. After the car's paid off, I think I'll have a clear head. Because right now, like, you know how Drew was when he was so focused on paying off his house?
Yes.
Like, that's me. Like, nothing else matters right now. I'm going to meet my goal, and I don't even care. I'm not even going to buy a new Apple Pro. I'm just going to finish doing this first, and then we'll talk.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see how they handle it. I mean, the worst nightmare I could imagine is we financially get to a place where we're ready to buy the car and the standard range Y isn't out yet. We're just like, can it come out now? Like that's going to
You're
really
not going to have
bother
any
me.
regrets.
No, I don't
You won't
think
have
so
regrets.
either. I mean, ultimately, as I talked about before, I'm in it for the tech. That's the main thing. I'm not
For sure.
I'm not in it because I want a car with a hatchback or I want a panoramic roof because I'm honestly not going to be in the back that much. I want it because I want a car.
Wow, look at that roof.
Yeah. Like if they delivered here's a fun like exercise for like what financially makes sense in my mind. If they do exactly what they do with the Model 3 and they say off menu you can get a 39,000 Model Y, but it doesn't have autopilot and it doesn't have the heated seats and it has worse range or something like that, but still better than advertised. So it would be like 235 range because, the 35K Model 3 is like 5 miles higher than the Keynote they launched it at, 215 to 220. If they launched that, I would do it.
Okay.
I would take a hit in range for a lower priced Y. But I'm guessing they're not going
Why?
to do that. Because range,
See what I did there, by the way?
I got it.
because
But I'm asking why.
range doesn't bother me that much. I'm not concerned about range, mostly because I do not drive very far. Both me and my wife are now working from home, so this vehicle, like if it means we can take thousands of dollars off the price tag, but my road trips are going to be a little longer, worth it. I'll do it. I'll take it because I'm not getting this car because I drive a lot or I need to get somewhere in a more cost-effective manner because we're barely driving right now. We basically drive to get errands and come back, and that's it. So this is a car I'm getting in because I want to enjoy it, the tech and the updates, and I will probably drive a whole lot more once I have a Tesla vehicle just because I'll
No,
have
it's
it.
cool, Dad. I can come over. I don't care. I'm on my way.
Like just for EV videos and stuff, I will go out and drive around just to test new software updates and autopilot improvements and stuff like that. So in that sense, having a shorter range on a road trip means that you're in the car longer. But I'm getting this thing because I want to be in it. So there's not an incentive for me to spend thousands of dollars extra so that I can spend less time in the car. That's what the longer range would allow for. So I can spend less time. So I'm in it for the journey, basically, not the destination.
Yeah.
So that's why range doesn't, also I don't care about performance or anything like that. So range doesn't scare me. Basically, I'm like, can you go below 200 miles if you lowered the price even more? Like, I don't care. Because
Like a
there's
3
just not a
mile
lot of driving in
range
my life.
car.
Yeah. How much could a Model Y be if there was just no battery pack?
Just
And I
give me
sit
3
inside
cells, please.
And this is cheaper than the Mac Pro, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's not hard to do. Yeah. So basically, yeah, if they announced,
And I get the wheels?
if they announced January 2021, they were like, okay, if you call in an off menu, you can get a 39K Model Y, but without autopilot, 230 mile range. I'd be like, cool, I'll take that one. I'll do it. If
cool.
not, Model 3 all the way. I'll take the Model 3 if the Model Y doesn't lower its prices into our budget by that time. Because I like it more than the 3, but I'm not crazy about it because they are really dang similar. Anytime I've watched tech YouTubers, whether it's Frugal Tesla Guy or Tesla Raj or Sean Michael, all these people that have driven the Model 3 extensively, once they try out the Model Y, they're like, yeah, this is pretty much the same. Like that's what I get from a lot of them. People who bought the Model Y are like, oh my God, this is so much better. But people who are just testing it out are like, yeah, I'm not going to trade in my 3, or I'm not going to sell my 3 like Randy, because
For sure.
it's not that they're in denial. They're just genuinely, they're trying to find legitimate reasons to upgrade is what they're doing. They're looking for things. They're like, okay, so I would have to spend this much extra, and for that, it's cool if it's your first car. You're not coming from anything. You're like,
For
okay,
sure.
3 versus Y, I can compare those prices. But when you already have one, I'm seeing a very hard time for people to justify it. So that's why I'm like, yeah, I'll be very happy with a 3 if that's what we do.
I want to hit one last note before we wrap up, just because it's something I've been wanting to note, and it's a quick thing.
Okay.
The stoplight stop sign feature on my car.
Oh, yes.
Oh my God.
Did you get out of the house to
I
try
love
that?
driving again.
You love it?
Are you kidding?
You love it?
Really?
I love it.
I thought you were going to say you hated it.
Nope. I love it. I love it.
So why
I
do
will
you
say
love it?
here's what's changed. And then I'll tell you why I love it. Before, when I would take these roads with stoplights and stop signs and stuff like that, I'm not going to call them back roads anymore because there's too much confusion.
Thank
But
you.
when I'm not on the freeway and I'm taking these roads, I can go 5-10 miles past the allotted speed limit that would be posted on the display, and that's no longer the case.
Yeah.
Now, when you go into full self drive, it is locked on that. So I am a slow car compared to everyone, because everyone else is just like driving right past me, and I'm just like, I'm doing 35 and a 35, but guess what? I feel like Genie.
You're just
So,
hands crossed.
Yeah. So that changed. That's the one. I guess if you want to give a con, there's your con. The idea of acknowledging that, hey, it's coming to a stop every single intersection
Or stop
every single
sign,
time
yeah.
there's a stop sign. There's something that requires you to be cognitive and conscious about, like, accelerate or don't like, if you don't accelerate, it's gonna auto stop. I like auto stopping because I have more stop signs than stoplights sometimes, so I need to stop anyway. So I don't care. All right, bring it to a stop, and it comes. And if I don't have it in standard, if I have it in the chill acceleration, and I just like, it's smooth, man. That thing is so smooth. And then I just barely tap on it, and it kicks off again. If that's my acknowledging I could do that, and a substitute making contact with the steering wheel, just tap it.
Tap the gas pedal?
Then I buy some time. You have to tap the gas.
I'm sorry.
What's
I'm sorry.
gas?
Accelerator pedal.
You either tap the
that?
accelerator or pull down on the stock.
Stock. Okay.
I tap it. Yeah. I don't. I just go, whoop, and then my foot. So my foot's already there. I already have my foot rested, ready to go on either one of the thing. So I just boop, and it takes off. So there's that, and the stoplight, like it's the update actually like. I don't think, you guys can't see it on the iPad, but for right here, the way it kind of illuminates the green when I have a green light, it's seen right here. You'll see this in post, Nick. It's more vibrant now when on my display. So I'm now looking at my display and I can be like, that is a green light. Because before it was just like a tint of green or a tint of red.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a red light? I don't know. Now it's just like, no, this is a green light and it's still going to come to a stop in 600 feet. Like, I'm just going to put my foot on the accelerator just for a second and I just keep going and it's fine. And now that we're locked at the speed limit that's on the road, I don't squeeze the steering wheel. I don't try to move it. I just move the ball again, and it counts as making contact with it, which is a way more relaxed thing for me.
Yeah.
I don't like holding onto the wheel. I like just putting my hand on where the horn's at and just going, whoop, slide, or foot, whoop, whoop. So taking the back roads, taking these side roads, these whatever roads, they're more relaxing to me. And I don't have many 90-degree or U-turn gestures or functions I need to do when I'm taking these roads to go to the store or what have you, or to get to the freeway. So I'm having a blast, and my wife jokes like, "Yep, you're a better driver again now," because I was always rushing to get to the next stoplight or stop sign. Now I'm just chilling, so she's happy too.
Good,
I love it.
Good.
Tesla,
I'm glad that's
Tesla
a solid
should
update.
put that in their marketing material. Not only does it make you a better driver, it improves your marriage by a factor of 6.
She asked me, she goes, "Can you please stop putting it steering wheel and sport and standard, because I don't like the kick that you do. I'm never ready for it." And it's just like, and you're going, and I'm just like, okay, fine. So I put it back in relaxed mode with the steering wheel and chill acceleration.
We need to reschedule our meetup. Because I'm
this is as soon as we get off the call, that's the first conversation offline here, because I haven't anxious.
Been in a Model 3 since before Christmas, and because I'm not driving that much, I don't see them anywhere. Like, I haven't seen one in forever.
Me neither. One of my friends saw a Model Y the other day on the road. And
what?
Yeah, I know.
I'm
so mad at Scott.
I've not seen a Model Y in person at all. I hope I can see a Model Y in person before the end of the year. That's my hope. I don't know what I'm going to do to accomplish that, but I'm going to.
Hey, are they at the Tesla stores now?
For that.
Like, if you go to the showcase stores, do they have them?
No, don't think so. I don't think
malls even open right now.
Oh, yeah,
sorry,
most of them aren't.
That. Whoa.
But I mean, hopefully they'll be open before the end of the year. That test drives and that kind of thing. As soon as I could test drive one, I will. But it's
I totally
not going to be for a while, I guess.
That'd
but
be awesome.
I'm missing it. I need my dose, my daily dose. Model 3 and Autopilot and everything. But yeah, it's time.
Not to brag or anything, but like, I'm so jazzed up right now. Like, after this, I'm gonna go take the car for a ride just because I want to play with it.
I would if I had one right now.
Yeah, me too.
Absolutely.
There's so every time we get stir crazy in the house, which is all the time right now, we just go driving around looking at new property. Like, oh, what if we lived here? And we take the car there. Yeah. It's just so much fun.
We just do that on our phones, though. We just look at Zillow.
Oh, that too. Simultaneously, like, hey, what's that address right there? Put up on Zillow. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's $200,000 above our price. Whatever.
Do you think the turning on city streets will be out before the end of the year, or do you think that's a 2021 thing?
I think it's 2021. The stoplights was the 2020 feature.
I think, I agree with you, Nick. I agree with you. I want it to be end of the year, but I just, yeah.
I'll play devil's advocate. December, end of 2020, because that's when they like to...
December 29th of 2020, there'll be a beta release.
That's when they like to... Because they always say things are happening at this year, so if they happen at the very end of 2020, they get to say, well, it was on schedule. So that's my guess, is they're going to roll something out as a holiday thing. Like, oh, this is a holiday update. Full self-driving is going to accomplish this by the end of the year. But turning's big. That seals everything together, kind of.
It does. And even if you have to make even if the requirement is that you have to maintain constant pressure on the steering wheel for it to be a thing. Just so it because it's so the stoplight stop sign it's still beta. It's not without its flaws. It's still very rigidy. So any critiques that you might have seen out there are valid.
I like that
it
stops you at every stoplight, but it still knows when it's green or red. That's what I like. Because if you're going and it's green and you press go, it'll keep going. But if it's red and you press go, it doesn't. So I like
that's right.
That's its little subliminal way of saying, I know, but you got to tell me anyway.
Is it hey, come on, we're trying to stay within the laws right now.
That's like the equivalent of Autopilot software winking at you. It's like, I know, but you should still say something.
And if you get too engrossed in your phone, which you shouldn't be doing, then you'll stop at a green light and everyone on the road is going to think you're a complete idiot, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And then get yelled at and somebody gives you the middle finger. Yeah, the whole thing.
So would you say Autopilot a year ago, looking at how it's changed to what it is today, should turning be available a year from now?
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Knowing what I know now, having a year's worth of data on this, yeah. Oh, it should be out. I feel kind of like, but it should be out now.
A lot of people argue with me on that in my video. I was like, I'm not a coder or anything, but turning feels like it shouldn't be that complicated, right? I mean, you're going from these two lines to these two lines. You can see directly in front of you. You still just avoid the cars that are there. If there's any turning when they shouldn't be, you stop. But I don't know, like the variables don't feel like there'd be that much. I mean, even looking at GPS data, you could see what type of turn the physical car has to make. I mean, just looking at my phone when I'm in a car, it's able to detect what part of the road I'm on. I feel like, yes, there are variables. Yes, there are isolated instances where it may be in trouble, but for the most part, like intersection turns and that kind of thing. I mean, maybe blind turns are a different discussion, but maybe they'll roll it out as just like, okay, turns at stop signs and stoplights. We'll start with that. If you have a
yield signs is another one.
If you have a roundabouts, people always test out. Something I did not know that someone corrected me on that I wanted. I don't know if you guys knew this, but Auto Park does not use any of the cameras. Did you know that?
Well, it shows you them. While
I had no idea. It shows you them, but it's not making the backups and the turns based on what the cameras see.
That makes sense, just because how terrible it is at parking.
Right, that's what I was saying. I was like, I don't think reverse summon's ever going to be a thing because of how bad Auto Park is. And then Green the Only, the guy who analyzes Tesla code and Autopilot, he replied to my tweet and said that's because we look at the software and how it behaves right now, and it's completely based off of the ultrasonic sensors in the radar. That's how all of Auto Park is being done right now. I think it's because Auto Park is the same pretty much whether you're on a Model 3 or the original Model S. You know, like they're trying to make it accessible to all hardware, and given not everyone has full self-driving hardware, they're like, well, Auto Park works even on these older cars because they don't have all the Autopilot cameras,
Auto
but
Park
they do
sucks.
have
Got it.
Yeah. But they do have the radar and stuff. So that means for whatever reason they have decided to not update Auto Park to work with the full self-driving cameras and take all of that data and put it together into an experience. I don't know why they haven't done that yet. They should.
Maybe it. I mean, definitely, it doesn't hurt it. It doesn't.
How could it hurt?
Take anything away?
Yeah.
It
could only
the idea
help.
that the sensors give you that depth, and I get that. Like, okay, here's an object. There's an object. That part I understand, but you as the driver, I rely 100% on the camera when I back up.
Yeah.
So why not have the AI do the same thing? I mean, the computer sees what I see and then some. It's so much more. It's so much smarter than me. It has what I have and all that. Maybe because it makes the camera irrelevant. Maybe it just voids out. It's like, we're not going to allocate any resource to it because it's irrelevant. We have all that data and then some.
There's dated software basically still sitting there. Not being updated or changed, but I feel like that could only help. There's no way it could get much worse.
I agree.
Because Auto Park in its current state, it makes a lot more sense if you knew, it only relies on radar and ultrasonic, because you cannot auto park in like an empty parking lot. It has to be between two cars. So it
That
has
does
to
make sense.
register that there's two objects there to be like, oh, I can park here.
Instead of a painted line.
Right, because that's not ultrasonic sensor. So I read that. I was like,
Right.
this is almost frustrating because you find out a car company's really forward-thinking and smart and intelligent, but then it just gives you
Then
all
you
of
do
this.
something so stupid.
Then you're just like, well, why can't you do this then? Why can't you do? You know, you don't get mad at a flip phone because it doesn't take good pictures because it's a flip phone. It's like a basic dummy phone. But when you have a smartphone and you take a picture and it's a little blurry, you're like, well, hey, this is $1,000. Why is this picture blurry? Like, it's the same thing with a car. Like, I'm not angry at my Sonata for doing anything wrong because it's a car. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. But when it comes to a Tesla,
I am
it
very
has
angry
dated
at my
software.
car. It doesn't drive itself. Every time I drive that thing, I let go of the wheel and it doesn't drive itself.
But it can't.
He starts to
It never
drift.
could. But when you're in a Tesla, you're like, oh, come on, you could figure this out. You're better than this.
Yeah.
Figure it out. You know, it just makes me
better.
mad.
Come on now.
But anyway, any last words?
Elon, stop tweeting. Come on our show. Come on.
I would say keep tweeting so the stock will go down. I'll pick some up.
Either that. You
Anyway.
pick one.
Keep tweeting the weird stuff, Elon. It's great. All right, guys. We'll see you in next week's episode.
Completely contradicted everything Nick had to say. It's like, no, keep tweeting, Elon. No, drop the thing.
Yeah, drop
and no,
the
don't
price.
come on our show.
They go on sale. Come on our show. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Have a good week.
Bye. Ba-ba.